You're listening to Challenge Takes Podcast, the only podcast that is as stubborn as Zach and Amanda. Welcome to Challenge Takes Podcast, the hottest challenge takes on the internet. I'm Joe Puglisi, accompanied by Brian Smith.
Yes, sir.
And here we are for episode, what are we? 13.
The People versus Johnny Bananas.
Episode 13 of Final Reckoning with no end in sight.
No end in sight. We got another team coming in the game.
Oh, God. I mean, at least we lost two. Like, gain one team, lose two teams.
Yeah, at least, yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, they're in Redemption House. They're not going
There's
yet.
going to be more teams in the main house than Redemption House after next episode. Because there's not, I don't think there's going to be another challenge next time. So that means another team goes out. That's only 5 teams in the main house and 6 teams in the Redemption House.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, because I figured that next week was going to be a Redemption House episode, but judging by the sneak peek, there appears to be 0 Redemption House challenges going down.
Yeah. But if you think about this though, maybe if they cut 4 teams would get cut at that redemption.
If there's 6, yeah, 4 are going to get cut.
4 would get cut, so that would leave 6 teams left, or 11, or there's 11 teams, so that would leave.
Well, let me
7 teams left.
Let me rack your brain here.
But that's still so much challenge to play out.
Let me rack your brain here. Right now, there are 6 active teams in the house, 5 in Redemption. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at it like this. Let's say an active team goes to Redemption, and now it's 6 Redemption, 5 active, like you said, and then the Redemption Challenge kicks in. I think this is going to be the last one. So instead of 2 surviving, 1 going back to Redemption and 1 coming in, it's going to be 5 wiped and 1 coming in.
Interesting.
So, because think about it, that will only leave 6 teams.
Yeah. That would make sense if the episodes, I heard that it was 18 episodes. So if that would at least look possible that they could fit that in.
I think that would work because that would be episode 14 would be next week, which would mean episodes 15 would be the Redemption House elimination. So that would mean that will probably take the whole episode and there come out, which would mean by episode 16 there are 6 teams left. And I've been adamant since the beginning that this is a 4-team final, just because of how big this season is. And if it's supposed to be 18 episodes, that leaves 1 episode for a purge, and then the 18th episode for the final.
Boy, that would suck if they do a purge with no redemption after all this, and then the team just goes home.
Well, the purge would be two teams leave.
So they would purge out 2 after all this redemption bullshit. They just purge 2 teams out. That would really fucking suck.
I'm sure it would, but if they're gonna try to force this all into 18 episodes when we're 13 deep right now, with technically 11 teams still alive.
Yeah.
That's just this is the way it's going to have to be. So I just really ran that off the cuff, off the top of my brain. But if they're going 18 episodes, that's got to be the order.
Yeah. I think you might be right on that. But there's still, I feel like from the trailer, there's so much content still.
Yeah, it seems like this season isn't.
It seems like it's at least 20 episodes.
This seems like we're at mid-season. It does not seem like we're
near. It really does seem like it's mid. I mean, we just had a team come in the game via a twist.
It's all wonky. You come to learn what to expect from the challenge after 10 years. From I don't know if you watched season 17 to season 27. You're like, I know the challenge. I know what's gonna happen, but season 29 to now has just been off the rails.
Yeah,
a completely unpredictable, just craziness.
Yeah, they're clearly not marketing it to the people who watch every week. It's more of it's a show that you is much better on a binge. I feel like. I
think that could be them trying to tap into their inner Netflix or something. Binge watching shows is popular now.
That's the reason for the length seasons. I think is because they like this whole challenge year-round thing. Mm-hmm. But naturally in doing that, they make all these episodes have all these cliffhangers. So even though this episode ended like a normal one from years ago would end, it's like one of the only times I've actually seen that happen. Right after the elimination, the episode ends. But
that's true.
But like with all these cliffhangers and whatnot, it's a much easier show to get through on a binge than it is watching week to week.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying now. Because when you're watching on a binge, there really is no cliffhanger because you can just watch.
And like an episode like this, it was just about the nomination and the elimination. That's it for the whole hour.
No, that makes me want to. That's something I've had like a bone to pick about with binge television for a while. Is when I go watch like a Netflix series that I'm really into or something, and they still follow that formula that's just been drilled into their brain after 20 years where they cliffhang an episode. But like say Netflix or Hulu as good examples, when when a new season comes out, they release all of it at once.
Yep.
So there is no cliffhanger. So why are you like episode 4 leaving me with this big cliffhanger to episode 5? Because like I'm just gonna watch it. It's literally gonna show up in 5 seconds on the queue.
It's like crack. You watch one episode, you got to watch the next one. You got to watch the next one to see what happens next. It's like that. It's just a progressive thing. And then all of a sudden, you're up at like 4 a.m. with like your eyes are like all bloodshot because you've been watching freaking TV for 5 hours straight.
That's happened a lot of times to me, and that's extremely accurate. Where you really feel it in the eyes.
Yeah.
When you're doing something like that, I remember a couple years ago being like up to like 6-7 in the morning where my parents were coming down for like breakfast and then to go to work, and they're like, why are you still up? I was like, well, I decided to watch Lost. and it was like, and I had watched like, I don't know, probably by 8-9 o'clock I was like 2 episodes in, and I just didn't stop. It was like 7 in the morning and I was almost done with like the season.
I haven't done any. No, I haven't endeavored into any of these crazy binge sections. What's the word I'm looking for?
SECT sect.
No,
is that what you're looking for?
I can't. Why can't? Why that? The word's just escaping my mind. Whatever.
Well, you haven't been binge watching.
Yeah, I haven't been binge watching. I haven't been
a
like
desire.
Stuck. Yeah, I haven't been like stuck binge watching for like hours straight. Like I've seen other people like you have done. But the challenge is very much set up to be binged, and even it's so much more produced now, where it's like the elements of reality to it are slowly going away. I mean, the cast is real, everything that happens in the house and the challenges are real, but like it's so like edited and produced that it's like 50% a drama soap opera than it is a freaking competition reality show at this point.
No, all the way. I mean, you see it a lot where it looks like that they're staging segments, where they want like, where they're telling like 2 people like, hey, you need to go talk.
Yeah. I don't know if they're staging conversation. A lot of this game stuff too, like the Inquisition last season was clearly them trying to get people to talk politically about the game and set up scenarios for that.
For example, they did it this episode where Tony and Bananas were about to go on a run or like some athletic endeavor, exercise a little bit, and they had Kara walk over and talk to them. Like, and out 60 yards from the building, there was just conveniently a cameraman. No, like producers are like, hey, Kara, you need to go talk to them. We want to get this shot. Yeah. Like that's exactly what happened. They weren't just like following Kara, who decided that she's going to go on this voyage to go find Bananas and Tony out there on the lawn.
All right, so let's get into the episode. So we're going to switch it up a little bit in the format here, and we're very divided on our opinions of what happens in this episode, which we'll get to. But it mainly came down to just a handful of like major plot points. Yeah.
Basically, what we're doing this episode is instead of reviewing the show in order, there's a lot of talking points that we want to hit, and if we reviewed the show and did the talking points, this would be like an hour and a half. So we're just gonna do the talking points, basically.
We're not gonna go scene by scene or any of that because it's not that most of these aren't that prevalent to the overall. I mean, they are, but
they all
we don't need to talk
about
Nelson and Davon.
They all relate to the overarching theme, but there's some big stuff that.
So we'll just get the Redemption House stuff out of the way first. Paulie and Kyle finally kind of came face to face here,
and it looked like it was going well.
It did not look like it was going well.
Okay, no, I kind of thought that they were like kind of airing their piece, and then they were gonna, I thought like, hey, maybe they're gonna come to a conclusion. but it went sour quick. Like within like 30 to 45 seconds of TV time.
These guys are all talk. For me, this was a giant douche versus a turd sandwich argument. Like, I wasn't rooting for either of them. Just two guys. I think they're all the big tough and macho. Like, your first, you have nothing to go to in these arguments, but to just be like, resort to threatening violence on a show where you can't hit anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't stand this, that people do this all the time.
Yeah, just because CT did it 10, 15 years ago doesn't mean that you
CT actually hit people, though. So he's actually, like, he's someone you'd be scared of. Paulie and Kyle are not people to fear.
You know, Paulie said something, and I was like, it's kind of right. He called, let me see if I can remember this exactly. He said that Kyle was a sheep in wolf's clothing.
Yeah.
And I decided to like kind of think about this over the course of his 2 seasons, and he kind of has been. He just because he had never been thrown into a situation, so he had just been acting like the wolf the whole time. And as soon as stuff started getting heated in this, which took about a season and a half for him. His true colors have shown, and he is a little sheep.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And when Paulie said that, usually we've busted Paulie's chops in previous episodes about him just like reciting nonsense in his confessionals and not really adding anything to it. But this was like spot on. This was some righteous shit right here. Because Kyle he's been a sheep. Because anytime he has stood up to that wolf cloak disappears awfully quick and he crumbles, which has been interesting because we kind of all thought he was the man after his 1 season. Yeah.
So Brad very quickly breaks up any chance there is of a fight here. He knows Brad's
a good guy.
Brad's been there before. So he knows not to fuck around.
Has he been kicked off a show for fighting? Bad boy.
Yeah. So. Well, it was more Darrell's fault than it was. Darrell wasn't. Well, he was really. He was completely blasted and was just egging on Darrell to like do something, you know.
Is this the one that Darrell could have won like 5 in a row?
Darrell would have won that season if he didn't punch Brad. Yeah, he literally threw away his money. Over a stupid mistake, and Brad,
which may or may not have happened this episode.
Brad nearly lost his eye on a bedpost.
He got knocked that hard.
He got slammed.
Oh God, I still haven't seen it. So.
Yeah. Well, what happened was he charged him, and he kind of like threw a punch, and I don't even know if he hit the punch, but Brad kind of flew back and he hit his eye on a bedpost, and then he fell over, and then Darrell threw punches on him while Brad was like laying on the ground, and then that's when the guys all came in to break it up.
Classic.
Yeah.
So he really. I mean, Darrell's been always like a pretty level-headed guy. Yeah. It seems like you really had to break something in that guy.
And that was graphic, too. When they showed him in the interview afterwards, like his eye is literally a baseball in his eye.
Well, the more you know.
The more you know. So that pretty much did it for this scene, except that it ends with Kyle's. So Paulie does say here that I should have just ditched my girlfriend and then I would have fucked Kara. How'd that make you feel? So Paulie's just admitting that he doesn't care about his girlfriend at all here. And Kyle's saying afterwards, like, yeah, I'd feel like shit if I was his girlfriend, but I heard she's smoking hot. I'd probably try and fuck her.
Okay, now you see, I missed both of those lines because there was so much like yelling going on and crosstalk of everybody talking over each other that it really blurred for me, and I just knew the general, overarching idea of this segment. I really did not hear the specifics. It is great to hear both of those lines. I only remember hearing Paulie say something about his girlfriend, and I couldn't pick up what it was about.
He said my ex-girlfriend, or I should have just came on the show single, and then I would have fucked Kara. Something like that.
Yeah, and then I heard I should have come in single.
But the Kyle was in an interview afterwards where he was saying, was like, if I was Paulie's girlfriend, I would not be happy right now. And he was like, I heard she's smoking hot. I'd probably fuck her. I should try and fuck her, is what he said, basically.
Is this now that's also classic Kyle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, TBD on that angle. I feel like we're probably going to get a resolution next week.
Yeah,
I assume.
No, we'll get I don't think
not
we'll
a
ever
resolution, but we'll get the storyline for the show.
Yeah.
There won't be an actual close to
Yeah.
their conflict.
All right.
Because it's as based on reality, so it's not like a TV show where plots open and close. They tend to linger for years, if not forever.
All right, so it's now time to talk about the main point of the episode, and we had even dished on it in our opening. Zach versus Amanda. Really, the driving force of this entire episode was...
Which is kind of funny, considering it's named The People versus Johnny Bananas.
People versus Johnny Bananas. Well, I mean, it is a group of people versus Johnny Bananas.
No, it sure is. That does exist. Don't get us wrong on that. But yes, this is the main event of the evening. Mm-hmm. Zach versus Amanda.
And I'll say I am Team Amanda on this. You are not.
Well, something I want to talk about.
It's hard to be. I understand your point. It's hard to be team one or the other because in this situation, both of them could have taken the out, and you can't really say it was a bad thing for either of them to do.
I think that either one of them, or like they're both wrong.
They're both stubborn in this situation.
They're both wrong to certain extents, and but I guess I tend to side with Zach,
and I side with Amanda and feel far worse for her for how this happened.
I just kind of look at it as I guess I empathize with Zach, where I understand where he's coming from of pressures to keep your word on things and worrying about how people are going to think about you if you turn your back. Like if you turn your back, your word means nothing. Then what kind of man are you? Like I just kind of think that that's what's going through Zach's mind, and I understand that because we feel those pressures a lot in society, where you're in a situation where a similar situation like him, where it comes down to throwing in. Yeah, I mean, in his case, it's literally throwing in his best bud, I guess you could say, bud on the show, into the fire, or manning up and taking it yourself. Now, I guess what should have been done here is I can't say that he should have thrown in his friend, but a resolution needed to come that wasn't him and Amanda.
It wasn't,
because they were the power couple. That's what's just so shocking about all this.
Yeah, they went from power couple, really dominating the game, like just going
3 wins,
right through 4.
4.
They and go from power couple to out of the game, just like that, or in redemption.
And that's why we say they're both at fault, because you need a catastrophic explosion in between your team to destroy what they had here. 4 wins and the power vote, and then you've in that same time you've become eliminated.
Yeah,
like that you're in redemption house now.
It's
like
really
that's
bizarre
crazy.
how it all worked out, and I think this is why they were mad at Ashley was mad at Davon, because if they had thrown a vote at Bananas, then Bananas would have had the votes to go in, not Ashley and Hunter. But since the Bananas was somehow still able to get 3 votes for Ashley and Hunter to go in, then it forced the tie. I swear these people are like paying Bananas to last longer on these freaking seasons and not get thrown in.
Yeah, so
that's another reason why I'm Team Amanda on this, is just because fuck Bananas, get him the fuck out of there. When Bananas goes to finals, he wins. You don't want him there at the end. So her logic is completely sound in wanting to get rid of Bananas, especially when he has a male partner like Tony, who's really good and crushes eating competitions, which is very important in those finals. Let's not forget about that.
And I think you're right here, to a point where they're right, because if Bananas goes to this final, he's definitely the favorite.
Yes.
But the way I look at this is that this isn't about Bananas. This is about Tony and Zach. And as much as you should be thinking of Bananas, I don't think that is what was going through Zach's mind. This is to him. This wasn't about bananas, while to Amanda it was all about bananas. And I understand where Zach's coming from, that he's got to do what he's got to do for his buddy, and if that means taking a bullet in this situation, then so be it. And I just think that that's. I think that's admirable, but I also think it's also idiotic.
I personally agree with Amanda and Ashley when they say Tony and Bananas would have tried to throw them in over towards the end of the game, because it's such an easy scapegoat for them to be like, Zach, we know I'm your guy, we know you're our guy, but you're partnered up with the spawn of Satan, whatever. So your guys are gonna have to go in. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I've seen that happen so many times on this show, and Bananas would do that in a freaking second. And even if Tony wanted to protest it, he doesn't have the same backbone / stubbornness that Amanda has to be like, no, I don't want to do that. He'll just go along with Bananas. He'll be like, fuck, I don't want to put Zach in, but you're Bananas, I guess I got to listen to you. And he would do it.
Right.
So I believe 100% that they would have thrown Zach in. Now, would a situation arise where that could have been the case? No. I'm just looking at the standpoint of the Lavender Ladies are not. Zach and Amanda are so much better than those other Lavender Lady teams competitively, and we've seen that throughout the entire season. They just beat them out competitively towards the end. They'll be fine. If Tony and Bananas are gone and they're in the final against those teams, they're more than probably 75% chance they're winning. Because Joss and Sylvie ain't beating them. Shayna Nelson, maybe Shayna Nelson or Ashley and Hunter, but Ashley and Hunter are a hot ass mess lately.
No, Ashley and Hunter are no competition.
That's the thing.
However, I do think I can't remember if my power rankings show it. I don't think they do, but I kind of started to lean this season that Joss and Sylvia could beat. Maybe not, they're not better than Zach and Amanda, but that they could beat them in elimination kind of deal. Where I just think that Josh is going to be able to go up against Zach evenly, and Sylvia is going to, I think, is superior to Amanda. So
no, she's not.
In elimination,
maybe
absolutely.
In like this specific challenge.
No, in eliminations in general.
The challenges this season have been so wonky and stupid. Like you never know what these things are going to be. They're never going to come like in contact with each other.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It is better.
I'm judging it by all aspects. I think Sylvia is the better all-around competitor for eliminations. The only thing is that
she's better.
I think Amanda might be better at puzzles.
She's better. She's just a smart player. She's savvy. She knows what the fuck to do.
And Sylvia's not?
I mean, I've seen her beat people that in like physical stuff, which is cool.
Well, yeah, that's like an automatic. Like not. That's not even a competition.
But there hasn't been physical. But there hasn't been any physical stuff.
The only thing I see them losing in against Zach and Amanda is
I think
a puzzle,
they would have beat
because
them
Joss is an airhead.
But then again, we can't even really. It's hard to even discuss this because eliminations this season are so weird and so stupid that anyone can seriously beat anyone in these things.
Yeah, I just kind of look at this as I guess I resort back to the old school methods of looking at this. What was the season that they had four types of eliminations? It was called like endurance, strength.
Oh, that was Battle of the Seasons.
And what were those four options again? Can you remember?
What the actual challenges were? Okay,
not the challenge itself, but what was the title of them?
It was physical, mental, strategy, and endurance.
Okay, and physical, I believe Joss and Sylvia over Zach and Amanda.
It depends on if Joss could beat Zach.
I think that he can tie him, which is all you need, because then I think Sylvia then goes over Amanda. That's why I think as long as he can compete
endurance,
with Zach,
I think Zach and Amanda win.
I think Joss and Sylvia win.
I think Zach and Amanda win strategy. And they win mental too, because Zach was able to win that with Sam on Battle of the Seasons.
Now, what was mental and strategy's actual elimination?
Strategy was the not so fast, the rope. CT broke it, so they can't do it anymore. But and mental is the is
the water
the
one?
water one.
Yeah.
And it's a
that
puzzle.
One was fucked
and
up.
it's a lot of memory. Amanda's already won that same challenge with Nelson, and Zach's won that same challenge with Sam. They would win that. They'd honestly beat every team in that.
I think they would get the edge on that one because of their history, that they've actually competed.
Both
in
of them
that
have
elimination.
competed on both ends of that and won.
Well, okay, if I had to do that, then because mental, they're referring to if you will break. If you can mentally be broken down, I think Amanda will collapse mentally before Sylvia would.
No, I don't think either of them would.
However, I think it goes 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
On siding with Joss and Sylvia. The only one that Amanda and Zach get is strategy.
I don't see it.
Which, however,
I think it's a toss-up. It's a close match.
However, what I will say though is of those 4, I think strategy is the one that weighs the most of those 4 because strategy can be implemented in the other 3.
I mean, these are all hypotheticals. I wish these were the elimination rounds we were getting. It'd be more fun.
Yeah, this is a super hypothetical because one's in redemption now.
Yeah.
And one's
also,
still
why
in
the hell
game.
was Zach after stepping up and being like, I'm gonna go into elimination. Fuck this. He then tells Amanda that he wants to call out Joss and Sylvia.
This was
Why Amanda definitely wants to go against her boyfriend. That's definitely what she wants to do.
that was very short-sighted by Zach, I must say.
Like, if you're gonna call yourself in, then at least just go against the weakest team. That's another thing that people aren't gonna mention here, which I do have to give Zach the somewhat of a pass for that. At least is if they go in, if he steps up, goes in the way he does, and they call out Jose and Devon and beat them, then there's nothing to discuss. They just go back to the house and nothing happens. But because there was this mercenary twist at this time,
I was thinking about this, but I was thinking about this on a slightly different level. I was thinking that this is literally just a strategy that you can do, that you can implement, where you and your partner can decide like, hey, we really want to get this team out. If they don't get the most amount of votes, let's just and if like a tie happens where our team doesn't get the votes, let's just say we can't pick and just take them out ourselves. Like, this is a perfect situation where both of them could go, well shit, we don't want to get rid of any of the Lavender ladies, and we don't want to get rid of Johnny Bananas and Zach, or Johnny Bananas and Tony. So why don't we do this? Why don't we get ourselves put in and then just beat Jose and Devon because we're better than them?
But I can't give him credit for that because that wasn't what he was trying to do. It wasn't. Threw out Joss and Sylvia.
It wasn't, but it easily could have been. If they wanted to work together a little bit.
And they were wearing street clothes.
They could have figured this out.
And they were literally safe for the week.
Yes. But once it came to a point that it was tie and TJ said, you got to make up your mind. This very easily could have came to their mind that, like, hey, we've seen this enough. When people can't decide, it ends up that you get screwed. So let's decide now. Are we going to figure this out or no? No? Okay. So what we should do is we should choose the weakest person and fight them. And that ended up being what happened, but I don't think they came to the conclusion the way I just landed.
Yeah.
Or the way I just laid it out.
Yeah.
And then what was against their powers, something that they couldn't control, is that TJ's the dirtiest player in the game, and he's about to go throw in a team 13 episodes into the goddamn season.
And the challenge makers are also the dirtiest players in the game, and we'll get to that.
So, yeah, I just want to bring that up real quick.
No, let's get to it late because we get
No, I want to bring up a team joining 13 episodes.
Oh, okay. That part.
How many seasons have been 13 episodes or longer?
Like 5. The last 5.
The last 5 have been 13 episodes or longer.
Yeah.
We just had a team enter in to a season that later than 27 seasons have ever aired.
Yep. The first 20 Bloodlines was season 20. So the first 26 seasons of the challenge have never been more than 12 episodes.
Okay. So yeah,
and last season was only Devin got eliminated on episode 13 last season.
Oh my god. How do you remember that?
Because he got purged, but it was like a cliffhanger.
On the wall.
So it was episode 13 when he officially
run around the city and drop down the wall.
So
and
he gets eliminated last season. This season enters the game at this time.
What a bunch of crap.
Who cares? Devin's here.
Yeah, it's all a crock. It's all for TV, so fuck everything and fuck everyone.
I feel like they really want Corey to like. They're trying to make Corey happen.
Somebody in production loves Corey.
Well, he has
the
a
dude.
big fan base. Surprisingly, he has he is by far the most popular young buck in terms of like social media following.
Yeah, he does have a huge fan base, and if you're looking at it from MTV's point of view, that's not only does that sell, but he's also on The Challenge. He was on Are You the One? Correct.
Yep. Are You the One? Second Chances.
Yep. He is on X on the Beach.
He's not X on the Beach.
He was.
Oh, Corey. I think you're talking about Devin. Corey
was on.
Corey
X
wasn't on
the
Are You the One?
Was he on
Real World?
Real World.
Yeah.
So he was on Real World, The Challenge, X on the Beach, and now is going to be making appearances on Teen Mom.
Yep.
Like, this dude runs a train on MTV.
Hey, Nelson made an appearance on Teen Mom the first episode, trying to be a stepfather.
What?
Nelson
Explain.
Nelson just made an appearance in the episode. I saw it on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm not watching Teen Mom. I'm just saying I just saw it on Twitter. That's all. I don't want to be putting it out there that I'm a Teen Mom fan.
Are you referring to? Is he trying to be a dad to the Corey situation? Different?
I was just making a joke by saying stepfather.
So he just showed up.
He was just in the episode having a conversation with Corey, like at a diner or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
That a boy. But
Godfather.
Regardless, Corey's running a train on MTV shows and has a huge social media following. They're going to get him into any prominent position they absolutely can, even if he literally can't compete to keep himself there. So, as was seen through Champs vs. Stars and last season, so they came up with the masterful idea to put him in at episode 13.
So we need to talk about some of this build up here. So first, Zach and Amanda have this big argument at the house where she's letting it known that she feels Bananas and Tony are gonna backstab them, and literally screaming up to Bananas and Tony as they're eavesdropping over the balcony like they always do.
Classic Bananas.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like she got mad at Zach for yelling at her, but she was also yelling at like everyone in the scene. To be fair.
Yeah, she was.
But I think she wanted her voice to be heard. And especially Bananas does that shit all the time, and someone needs to call him out for it. Because like the fact that like the Lavender Ladies weren't really out here like worried about like Amanda in this situation, but Bananas and Tony, they were all like, "Oh, Zach, make sure you don't listen to her, Zach." They had to be in on every conversation, not letting them have the private one-on-one where something could have went down.
Right.
And Zach said, I bet my entire bank account that Tony Raines isn't gonna send me in. And Ashley's like, all $2.
That was uncalled for. Wasn't even funny. Has there ever been any claims or anything that like Zach's poor?
No, it's just funny.
Like that's why
he lives in Michigan. He always makes jokes about like he always makes jokes like, if I win this season, I won't have to work for a year or some shit like that.
I have heard him say that, but it's never been in question that he's poor. He's not homeless Bruno or Brad. Like he doesn't need this paycheck.
Oh, and Amanda said that Zach wasn't no bad bitch for raising his voice at her, and then he said to Joss,
she did something there that was like really really hypocritical. If you remember the thing before she called him a bad bitch.
What she said, stop yelling at me. Don't talk to me like that. I'm your partner.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
and
I just mentioned that.
Like, yeah, don't talk to me like that. I'm your partner. And then the next words out of your mouth is, "You think you a bad bitch? You're not a bad bitch." So now you just completely threw what you said out the window of him not talking to her of not saying that he can't talk to her like that because she's his partner, and she just flipped the switch and she just did exactly what she said he was doing to her. It's absolute crap.
And then he says to Joss,
"It's a crock of shit."
And then he says to Joss, "Come get your whore girlfriend."
All right,
fucking Zach.
This is a
Zach is not a changed man. Can we stop saying that?
Let's just lay that out on the line. That's just classic Zach.
This is the second time he's called her a whore for no good reason. I mean, not no good reason, but anytime you just maliciously call somebody a whore, I'd say it's for no good reason.
Yeah, this was classic Zach. There's no defense here. This is honestly just what Zach resorts to. Like, this is like his default.
Like, you think anything, he's like, "Come get your whore girlfriend."
Like, yeah. However, he might have called her a whore or a bitch, but she did wished death upon Kara's horse last episode.
Yeah, and then she said something like, I don't even know, it must have been something that didn't get aired. About how, like, she tried to, at least she didn't try to threaten, I didn't threaten to kill her or something like that. What?
Where did you hear that?
She said, okay, but at least I didn't say I didn't wish death on her. I didn't.
Right.
Person.
That's her trying to rationalize something.
I feel like something happened that didn't get aired because.
Yeah, but it's
a weird point.
No, that's just her trying to rationalize something that she's wrong about. Like, there is no rationalizing the fact that you wish death upon Kara's horse. You're just being an asshole at that point. You just need to admit that you're being an asshole. You can't rationalize, well, like, I could have been a bigger asshole and I was only a minor asshole. Like, you can't do that. Like, it's just that's not how it works.
Fair.
So what's next?
The challenge, the elimination.
Wow.
And this is where they were planting those seeds with Davon, because her vote was going to be a major swing here, and she ends up going for Tony and Banana, or for Ashley and Hunter, making it a tie, thus making it literally a decision between Ash and Hunter and Tony and Bananas. Amanda says, "I'm not budging. It's Tony and Bananas. They're going in." And then of course Bananas, because this is why I fucking can't stand this guy all the time. Got to make it all about himself and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna make it. This is me." Blah, blah, blah. And Amanda was just like, "Bananas, shut the fuck up." I'm voting you guys in. Shut the fuck up. Stand there and go into the elimination. And of course, Zach didn't do what the world wanted to happen.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. And poor Hunter felt so bad over this. He was like, I hate this to happen to a good friend of mine.
This sounds sounds about right.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the actual challenge a little bit later, but let's just get to everything that happened. So Amanda and Zach end up losing.
Rip
and then dream. Zach isn't even upset about it.
Well, let's clear.
I think I broke my nose.
Yeah, real quick, let's just overlay the fact that for Corey and Devin to come back in this late in the house, they had to beat both these teams rather than beat one.
We didn't. Yeah, they called Jose and Davon in.
So that's what they have to do.
Davon's
and they face Zach and Amanda first.
We didn't talk about Davon crying about it. I like you, Davon, but get over yourself. Come on, it's a rookie. You're a rookie team. You're lucky that you've had this many chances.
I also side with her here.
You side with Davon?
Yes.
Why is she? What is she crying about?
Because your rationalization right here was exactly what everybody else fell into. Get over it. You're a rookie.
Yeah, but they've had so many chances.
The whole thing is to say that the rookies need to prove themselves, but that's a bunch of bullshit. Because Jose and Davon more than most rookie teams that I've seen that aren't like someone like Tori that came in and just like dominated. That isn't like a rookie that just walks in and like owns the place, like one of the like the scrubs, air quotes around that. More than any scrub besides maybe female Devin has proven that like they can handle this. And by proven for female Devin, I just mean that she just was really good at skating. But they have shown time and time again, like they've consistently gone in, they've won, they've lost, they've battled back.
Yeah.
They've had their big fights. They haven't been afraid to go against people, to make big votes, to make big moves, and yet everybody is still pulling the "you're a rookie" card. What that really is saying is we are too scared to vote for anybody else card.
Well, and that's Zach's. Well, Zach is the one who
has voted them in like 4 times.
Yeah, like Amanda wanted to make a big move, but Zach wouldn't do it. And then obviously they're not going to call in a lot.
Well, see, now that's something where you're being one-sided. Amanda wanted to make a big move, but Zach didn't want to. Zach wanted to make a big move too, but Amanda didn't want to.
I don't think Zach didn't want to.
Zach wanted to get rid of one of the Lavender ladies.
I don't think that was his plan for the original vote, though. His plan for the original vote was keep voting on burn on Jose and Davon.
Well, that wasn't his vote. That was them coming to a conclusion that they were not going to be able to vote their respective sides, so they voted Jose and Davon.
But I don't think Zach ever was saying that he wanted to get rid of like Ashley and Hunter, because Tony and Bananas were talking about that. They never went to him and told him that was their plan to vote Ashley and Hunter in. At least we didn't see it. So. How
is that not his plan, though? His plan is to get rid of all the Lavender ladies.
Zach's plan?
Yes.
You sure?
Clearly.
Well, then he's fucking stupid because he shouldn't be trying to get rid of people that are in his alliance.
Well, unfortunately, Zach doesn't look at it as his alliance.
Yes, I know.
He looks at it as Amanda's
and
alliance.
I said this a few weeks ago. I'm like, Zach really has no choice but to side with these people, and if he doesn't, then it's going to be disastrous. And look what fucking happened. It was disastrous.
That I do agree with you on.
Like, there's no winning for Zach in this.
No, he was in a lose-lose, and Amanda was in like a lose-ish win. Like they were both in a really shitty situation, and they both decided on the lose end.
Yeah. So after the elimination is over, this is what I'm talking about though. Like, was Tony and Bananas? By the way, deep down, he's fucking thrilled that the strongest team in the house is now in redemption.
Oh, completely.
He doesn't give one fuck about Zach and Amanda.
That's why I've been saying that this whole Zach problem has not been about Bananas at all. It's all been about Tony.
Yeah.
And of course Bananas doesn't give a fucking shit.
Zach is walking around like, oh, I taught her a lesson. Laughing about his broken nose, like not really worrying that much. Meanwhile, Amanda's crying because her shot $1 million might have just went down the toilet, and all her lavender ladies were consoling her, which should show you what alliance is more tighter. But and I liked afterwards. After all this, Amanda sticks around and still talks shit to Johnny afterwards when Devin is back in the house. I thought that was great. But yeah, I can't help but feel bad for Amanda. I know I love her. She's my favorite person on the show, and she won them that challenge. That's the other thing. Ooh, she won them that challenge is the other thing that we're forgetting here.
What? The most recent one? I don't even remember what it was.
It was the puzzle.
It was like a
and
week
she
ago.
was the reason they won the challenge.
What puzzle thing?
I
just don't remember the challenge.
The challenge last week. When they went in and...
No, I just want you to describe the challenge. I just don't remember.
They were locked in the cage and they had to come out read the graffiti.
Okay, yeah, the graffiti read.
That's another thing. Like, she won them the challenge. Like, I feel like that leads precedence
now,
to her
are
getting
you
the
looking
ultimate
at this
decision.
one-sided? Zach was able to get a damn big stick in there real quick.
Yeah, but none of the other teams were able to figure that out. Like, a teams got out before Amanda did.
Didn't only one team get out before
Jose
Amanda?
and Tony Bananas both got out. It was because Amanda had the shit down and never had to run back and get more information is why they won.
Hey man, Zach grabbed a big stick.
I know he did. I'm just saying.
It's a good stick.
All right.
Quality stick.
Quality stick. And again, managers will not let up in any of these situations. Like, Zach is like trying to like get away from her and she's just following him, yelling at him still, even after the challenge is over. And then somehow it ends up with Shane fighting with Johnny again.
Which is just all too hilarious.
Yeah, this is what this aftermath was pretty. Once Amanda stopped crying and got over it, is when it really started to get entertaining.
Yeah, because now it just doesn't matter anymore. Like it's not even about those two anymore. It's just about what everybody else thinks about Johnny Bananas.
Cara and Marie were like the only team that were completely out of this. Like
they
just
just sat on the pedestal and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And you know what? That was for the best.
It was for the best, yes.
But good on them with that.
So Nelson at the end of the day, losing Amanda sucks for that alliance, but they also get another alliance member in Devin and Corey in the house, which isn't as strong. But now Tony Bananas are now with that team gone. Tony Bananas are now the favorites to win every single daily challenge.
Well,
it's either them or like Ashley and Hunter.
Well, that means that you think that Zach and Amanda were the favorites to win every single day.
It was between those two teams were easily the two best and the two teams most likely to win a mission. With Zach and Amanda gone, and Brad and Kyle too. With both those teams gone, Bananas and Tony are now their road to winning mission. They've only won the one challenge all season, but the road to winning missions for them is so much easier now because there's been 9 challenges. They've won 1. Zach and Amanda had won 4. Brad and Kyle had won 2. So if you take but Tony Bananas were very close to winning a lot of those. So with those teams gone now, all of a sudden Tony Bananas is going to win. What if they win next week?
if they win next week, let's figure this out. Let's do some.
They're gonna throw in Corey and Devin. They're gonna throw in Shane and Nelson. What are they gonna do?
I think Bananas is gonna just fucking dive headlong into it, and he's gonna forget everything about his Shane and Nelson bullshit, and he's gonna go right into Devin and Corey, and Tony is gonna use that because doesn't Tony and Shane, aren't they kind of buddies?
Tony and Shane?
Sorry, I meant to say Tony and Nelson.
Not really.
No?
No.
I thought they were like cool with each other.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Tony's kind of cool with everyone, but not like.
Right. Well, I figured two people that Tony doesn't seem to ever have been cool with is Devin and Corey. I've never seen them.
Tony and Devin are cool.
Are they?
Oh yeah. Tony gave Devin the alley oop last season.
Yeah, I take that back because if I remember right, I believe I believe one of our last season's pictures for the podcast was Devin and Tony like smacking beers.
This was so frustrating. This was so frustrating about Tony. Is last season was such a great showing for him. Like he came out, he broke out so much as like a competitor and as a character and as a top personality on this show. And then this season, because of this Bananas partnership, he's just falling right back under his lap again, and it sucks. Well, like, if Tony had a different partner, then he would also be in this group targeting Bananas.
Well, I think a lot of people being joined at the hip with another person have taken a step backwards.
I just think this pairing of Tony and Bananas killed Tony. Like now, anytime he comes back, he's going to be with Bananas again.
I would say Tony has taken a big fall because he was definitely the person
he was stepping up as like the new like face of like he could have been like the new Bananas last season with how much he was the MVP of that season. Make no mistake about it. The star all the way through.
There was no competition. Yeah. The only person that was close was Kyle. And I would say that Tony was just better in challenges, and he made all the big moves by leaps and bounds in terms of performance that season. Mm-hmm. The only thing that was cool about Kyle was that he seemed cool.
Yeah. Oh, but not so much this season.
Yeah, this season he just seems like a brat. But we've talked about that.
All right, so we want to get into we haven't talked about it yet, but we want to get to the elimination itself. And the fact that it was completely unfair to the guy-girl teams.
Yes. I don't remember if I said this out loud to you as soon as it started, but it became very apparent to me extremely quickly that as soon as I saw the elimination, that Devin and Corey were going to win the whole thing because this was lined up for Guy.
Yeah.
I said to Brian after as well that all guy teams would have won this over any guy-girl pairing.
Yeah, any team that had a girl on it.
Any team that had a girl on this was not going to last. It didn't matter who the guy pairing was because, honestly, Devin and Corey are the weakest guy pairing in the game. And they still of the three. And they did a damn good job. And they
barely won. They won by one medallion both times. And it was the same one closest to the girl that wouldn't come off.
And that is absolutely only reinforces the point of how this favored the guys, because someone like Zach managed to wiggle off of those 9, managed the 8 closest to him had fallen off because of the pressure that he was able to exert over there, and then the girls who are exerting less pressure, they were able to get the ones that were closer to them, maybe not the closest one, obviously, but maybe the second and third because of like torque and angle of the way that the rope would bend. But they weren't able to apply enough pressure to allow the one closest to them to move a lot. They were only able to wiggle the rope a much smaller amount. Think about the one in the middle. When they both jump on it, is going to drop almost completely to the sand and then fire up the highest as well, and then whip back down with the most torque, because that's just how gravity and torque works. Mm-hmm. That's just how that works. The ones at the furthest ends are going to be the hardest. So the one at the furthest end, closest to the girl, was going to be nearly impossible. They just weren't able to exert enough weight on these ropes. And I think anyone under 150 pounds was going to have a crap load of trouble.
Devon isn't that light, and she couldn't get it either. And she's like tall. No. She's like 5'9".
Yeah, I thought, honestly though, Devon was not jumping as high as I knew she could. There's a clear shot of her like skipping off of that thing.
You can clearly see when her and Amanda both laying on the thing, they did slow-mo shots, and the thing is whipping around, but it's not coming off.
Yeah. So basically what I want to
they tried the best they could. It literally just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, what I want to clarify with my explanation there of how the pressure and force that these girls were exerting worked is that Brian was telling me that he was seeing stuff written online that this was a rigged elimination and that one that wasn't coming off was meant to not come off. I don't know whether they taped it or whatever they want to say. And I think that's complete bullshit. It literally just came down to how much pressure could be exerted on each side, because the end ones are going to be the hardest, are going to need the most pressure to knock them off, and that side always had the girl.
It just shows that they should have better thought out this challenge. I don't know what they could have done, but like it's why the system is still flawed. I mean,
I would like to say they test these before. They have testers. I really wonder if a female was on the testing squad for this one.
Well, they supposedly females did good on the Sky Bridge, and then we saw the actual challenge girls go up there, and none of them could do it. So
right, because this was gonna be really, really hard for any of the girls. I don't know if a single girl that was even on this season could have knocked that off. Maybe Cara, just because she has like that killer winner's instinct.
Yeah. Do you have to jump on it, or could you land on it and like try to like wiggle it yourself?
You have to wiggle it with the rope.
Well, I guess Zach was doing that because that's when he hurt his face.
Yeah. But I must say, this didn't seem like the kind of elimination that if you accidentally, say, knocked one with your foot, like clearly not trying to, that they were going to penalize you. As long as you weren't like literally over there like pulling it off. Mm-hmm. If it was like happenstance, I just don't see them penalizing them. Like, and there was this one opportunity where Amanda like went to go jump on the rope, and she her strategy was to do like a jump and like hug on the rope and like pull it down and then fall on the mattress, while Devon's was more of like a jump vertically and just like grab it with her arms and go down.
Yeah.
Which I think Amanda's strategy was better, but it's way more physically exerting. You're gonna be freaking pooped.
Do you ever think of maybe trying to have like Zach on the other end just jump as far as he can?
That was something that they also should have done, but I don't know. That's like when you're 8'8" and you need to get this done because out there in the center there were no mattresses.
Yeah.
That's like belly flop, life or death.
Yeah. And you got to sync that so well too because he's gonna jump far.
But what I want to say, there was this one point where Amanda did her method and her foot like kicked it when they had 8. And it didn't fall off, or at least her foot was near. I don't know if she actually touched it.
And she was doing this in jeans and boots.
Yeah. So I think if like she accidentally kicked it off, I don't know if they would penalize them for this, as long as it wasn't intentional. It's kind of like fumbling a football, and like if that football gets kicked around like 10 more yards, as long as it wasn't some dude literally punting the ball to his teammates and making it obviously intentional, it's allowed. That's what I just kind of assumed. And I think that if in a situation like this where Amanda and Devon couldn't get it done, this is where you pull an Eddie Guerrero and you lie, cheat, and steal a little bit, and you go for a dive like that, and you accidentally kick it. Oh, I didn't mean to. But if you sell it well enough, maybe you could have kicked that baby off and did some Viva La Raza and get your ticket into successfully beating Devin and Corey.
It's a frog splash halfway through the rope.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just referring to getting a leg on it. The other way would be, if you wanted the Eddie Guerrero, would be for Zach to do a 5-star frog splash right onto that rope.
Well, that's 5 stars of Rob Van Dam.
My bad. He just did the frog splash?
He just did a regular frog splash.
He didn't name it?
No, it was just the frog splash.
Oopsies.
Three amigos into the frog splash.
Yeah. I don't think he could fit the three amigos into this one.
No,
but
no three amigos.
But he could have went for a frog splash, which I'm currently imagining in my head of Zach just leaping as far as he could, turning horizontal in midair and dropping a frog splash onto this rope. And it's a great visual, let me tell you.
If they had won off that, like they can't get it all this time, and then he goes does a frog splash, and I think pops off right before Devin and Corey get theirs. That would be an epic moment.
That would be amazing. All time classic.
Corey and Devin now in the house. As ridiculously unfair as this is, still glad to see Devin in the house.
I am happy to see these guys, but yes, unfair. All guys, we're gonna win this, 100%, 100% of the time.
And Corey's got to do it for his kids.
I would venture to say that Chuck and Jose would have beaten
Zach and Amanda.
It would have beat any combination that had a girl on their team.
Wow.
In this, any combination.
You think they would have beat a team of like Cara and like Tony?
Okay, well that isn't Cara.
Well, that's a hypothetical team, yeah.
Well, my
I mean, Marie is pretty heavy. You think Marie could have maybe gotten it?
Yeah, but I just don't think I don't think Marie has the instinct.
Yeah.
Or to like do that kind of stuff. Just like she always seems to give like 80% when she's in an elimination. I don't think she would have been jumping on that rope hard enough. Meanwhile, Cara would have been swinging from that thing like a monkey.
Now, you know who I think would have gotten it despite her size? Camilla.
Yeah, I knew you. I was just waiting for it. I was just gonna try to judge you and see if you wanted me to say it or not, because that girl would have dove head first onto that shit. Are you kidding me?
What if like Camilla and Big Easy were in this challenge?
They probably would have slayed this. Are you kidding me?
Big Easy would have got the other one off from his side.
Also, however, they probably would have lost because Big Easy would probably gotten tuckered out climbing up the ladder a bunch of times.
All right, this is not pick on Big Easy Day. But that's going to do it for the episode, if you want to move into the sauna.
And I think we're already here.
Oh.
Whoa. That was quick.
Yeah, it was quick.
Cool.
So you want to start us off?
Okay. I'll sure thing. And I will read two that kind of relate to each other. Right here. And the first one is more of all hot takes are statements, but this is more of just some are less hot takey than others, and this really is more of a statement. I'm coming in with last week I did my hot take final, which was like a bunch of just like really, really outrageous, like crazy people. This is the realistic final. These are the 4 teams that I've been adamant it's going to be a 4-team final. These are them. Tony and Bananas, Corey and Devin, Nelly and Shane, Paulie and Natalie.
That Paulie and Natalie train, it's going to be a rematch. It's going to happen again.
I've been riding it for a while, and I can't turn away.
You know that Jose and Devon rematch is going to happen again.
It's gotta. That just for the sake of the fact that in one season, 2 teams are going to face each other in elimination 3 times. That is ridiculous. It is hilarious.
Paulie and Natalie are going to have to
ridiculous.
win this time if your other prediction is.
Yes, they're going to have to win this time.
Yeah.
And that kind of moves into my other thing, because Corey and Devin were on my team, is that Corey and Devin will not see elimination for the rest of the game.
Right, that is definitely hot, because I think Bananas...
Because there's a banana man.
And if Bananas wins like a challenge, then there's a huge chance... There's one of the Lavender teams is going in, / Young Bucks. At this point, now that Amanda's gone, it's more of a Lavender Young Buck than it is.
I just see more of a desolation of the other groups breaking down. It kind of thing where Corey and Devin are going to kind of skate in a sense, where everyone's going to be focusing their efforts on Tony and Bananas. So even if Tony and Bananas win a challenge and vote Devin and Corey, and boom, they get 2 votes, there's going to be 3 on Bananas and Tony from everybody else just firing at them. That's kind of how I envision them skating around all of this.
Well, mine first one has to do with Paulie. Paulie, this man, always is speaking like he's cutting a WWE promo. And this is topical because we were just talking about frog splashes.
Sure is.
He cuts a better promo than like 50% of the roster at least. And Paulie could be a wrestler.
I think
he'd be in the cruiserweight division.
He would.
He's a little shrimp. He'd be like a great heel in a heel wrestler in a cruiserweight division.
He'd also totally be a vanilla midget.
He looks like a vanilla midget.
Yeah, he'd get.
You need to have like some good like attire. They need to hook him up with a good, maybe a different hairstyle or a better like good attire to help him out.
Yeah, but then they're gonna saddle him with like some stupid ass name that's like
Paulie Walnuts.
No, it's just gonna be like, one of these things. It's gonna be like Robert Inglewood. Like it's gonna be just
Robert Inglewood.
Yeah, they're just gonna like throw some shitty name like that onto him, and they're gonna dress him up like in like long pants and like no shirt, and he's just gonna look like a jobbing idiot. And he's gonna have a goofy spiked haircut, and he's just gonna look like a Dumbo.
I feel like Paulie isn't genuinely that upset at these people. He's just playing a character up for television.
No, the Paulie of the real world.
That's what I'm trying to say.
The Paulie of real life and the Paulie of the Challenger. Yeah, he's totally
the other one I thought could do this well was, she's not on the show anymore, but Kayla, because I've seen her in like Instagram and Snapchat stuff. And when she goes off, she goes off. So like she could be and she's in great shape too. Those two would probably top of my list for people who could be like wrestlers. I also think Jordan could be a good wrestler because Jordan's just great at everything. He'd be like a high flying type of guy.
Yeah, be dropping 630s.
Yeah. 630s. Double backflip.
Yeah, he's gonna do a double moonsault.
Yeah, that's my hat. Paulie, a better promo than most of the WWE roster. I know there's probably not a lot of overlap here with wrestling.
Except the one problem with Jordan is that Vince would
give him a gimmick like, I got my hand blown off when I was like 10 years old.
Okay, no, they're past those like corny 80s gimmicks, but I just mean that they're gonna play it up too much in a storyline like they did with what's his face,
Zach Gowen.
Yeah, Zach.
Well, Zach Gowen was missing a whole leg. I mean, that's a little bit of a more extreme circumstance. And Zach Gowen was like 5'5". He was like tiny. Like he wasn't a legitimate like threat. And they had Brock Lesnar
just F5 the hell out of him.
Shit out of him.
Did he F5 him into the ring?
He F5'd him into the ring post with his one leg. And then he ripped the prosthetic. Oh no, that was Kevin Nash who ripped the prosthetic leg off. That was a different thing.
Vince really did some bad stuff.
I don't remember what that circumstance was, but that was pretty rough. Kevin Nash ripping the prosthetic leg off and then hitting the guy, using it as a weapon against the guy.
This was the height of like Vince just like being so insensitive to people.
Like was this when he was doing that like Trish bark like a dog stuff?
Yeah, and having like Sable be like his bitch and stuff. Yeah. Like that was like a really bad
angle.
Yeah, this is a really bad era of Vince like thinking he can get away with everything and just being like misogynistic and like uncaring to like other people and like disabilities, like doing the Eugene angle around that time too, in the early 2000s, and like making Eugene, who was like super over, go up against Triple H, and Triple H looked like the ultimate bad guy bullying him. Yeah. And then the crowd cheering for Triple H. That part of course was out of Vince's control, but that just killed the Eugene angle. But there's a bunch of stuff about that. That probably a lot of that probably went over the head of like 98% of the people that are listening. But regardless, I think we got more hot takes, and this one's hot. I believe that we will see sometime in the future Tori and Derek will get back together.
This makes no sense. It's not even topical. They've been gone for 3 episodes. You're just throwing something.
When have I ever been topical on this stuff?
You have mentioned stuff about ridiculousness and Fear Factor.
Yeah.
And me kicking a desk.
Yeah, which I actually did today. It definitely showed up on broadcasts. Yeah. I accidentally kicked the desk. So whoops. The way I see this is Derek's just an idiot. And
Tori is like pretty comfortably with Jordan, I feel like.
Are they dating still?
Yes.
Oh shoot, that blows a hole in my hot take. I thought she was single.
No.
All right, well, we're gonna act like she's single right now. The way I kind of looked at this is that she was just kind of gonna be lonely and looking for love, and Derek is just can't help himself because he's just such an idiot that he's gonna be right there, and he's not gonna be able to help himself. Just straight up, I don't know how else to describe it other than like you can just see Derek falling into it. Like he's gonna be there, and he's just gonna be like, "Well, I know that this is a bad decision, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm a moron." And he's just gonna dive right in. But what needs to happen is that Tori still needs to show the incentive that she's gonna be looking for comfort, and she's gonna decide to go back to Derek for some sort of reason, and he is just gonna
sort of reason,
and he's just gonna be so stupid and just forget all the stuff that's gone on and all the things that he and she have said and just take it back. I can just see it happening because they're just two just dummies, and Derek more so than Tori, but I don't think we've clearly seen Tori does not have a relationship game locked up, right? And even though you claim right now maybe she does, yeah. But I don't know about that.
All right. Well,
if I had to judge anything off of her confessionals, she's just terrible to be around, and Jordan probably wants to get out of there.
All right. Well, here's my second one, and it has to do with future seasons of the challenge.
Wow.
The X on the Beach filming is currently going on. It's probably going to be ending soon, but on that cast, people were very surprised to see Farrah Abraham being added. And I've heard some rumors I won't mention on the podcast for spoiler purposes because I don't want to ruin it for people who may want to watch X on the Beach later on and see what happens. But my hot take is that I think we're going to see Farrah on the challenge.
That is scorching hot.
And she's not going to do well. She's going to be horrible. She probably quit. But they're going to try to make Farrah on the challenge a thing.
I absolutely see that. That is the worst thing ever, but I totally believe that.
Yep. And then that'll lead way, and then they'll try to get they might get other Teen Mom people involved as well. It'll be like it's like right now they're kind of pulling from, They pulled on people from X on the Beach, not really Faith and Angela were from their own shows originally, but they were more so because they did X on the Beach first, was that they were allowed to enter world. And Big Brother people are from another, competition show. But that's really just opening the floodgates when they start throwing Teen Moms in there. Because those people were on another MTV show, granted, but one that has nothing to do with competition and nothing even to do with that much hookup. It has to do with raising a child. It has nothing challenge related there at all.
No.
Neither was X on the Beach, granted, but at least X on the Beach is kind of like an Are You the One real world type of spin where you're just hanging out in a house.
I must say though, this should be one of the challenge stipulations where they have season 35, challenge season 35. Do you have a kid? It's just everybody has a parent. Every mother and father that's been on the challenge comes in.
Don't you think there's somewhat of a sexism going on where they always have to talk about how the guys are playing for their kids but not the moms? Davon's kid has mentioned once all season.
Yeah, it's been mentioned a couple times.
Corey shows up 5 seconds. I got my baby daughter at home. I'm gonna try to bring it home for her.
Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily a sexist thing. I think it's also largely due by the ratio of the guys that have kids in this.
But I think it's just the societal thing.
How many girls besides Davon?
How many mothers?
Yeah, have mothers been on a show?
Robin. There hasn't been that many.
Yeah, Davon, Robin.
There was one who brought her baby with her, Baloo.
What the fuck are you talking about, Brian?
She brought her baby with her.
Elaborate.
I don't remember the full story, but it was one of the very early ones, like 2000, 2001 type of challenge, and she brought her baby with her to the challenge, to filming.
Did they tell her to get
And there was
the fuck
another girl
out?
who showed up pregnant, and then she had to go home because she was pregnant. She tried to compete pregnant. She couldn't do. There was a challenge where you had to hang upside down, and he's like,
What the fuck?
Her name was Gladys.
Somebody brought their kid.
Someone brought their kid. I'll tell you what, these archives, you dig back, you find some crazy shit.
I can't believe
There was a girl there was a girl on one season. It was the Battle of the Sexes. She was like the best girl on her team the whole season. Her name was Emily Bailey. Who's the very old school people will probably say she's one of the best villains on the show. I know almost nothing about it though because I haven't really watched that old seasons. But she was basically like running the show, just being a bitch to everybody. And then her boyfriend was on the other team. Her boyfriend got voted off, and then she just quit. She's like, "Fuck this! You voted my boyfriend out. I'm quitting.
I'm done with this shit."
Like it made no. It was just that's literally all she did.
That would be like Tori in Dirty 30 being like, "No, Derek's out.
Yeah.
I'm out of here, bitches."
Like it's stupid. She could have won or at least made the final. All right.
Well, I think we're gonna end this on a bombshell.
Still a bombshell.
And this goes back to something that I've harped on in the past and had rants on in the past and was brought up this episode. And it's about, I'm just going to lay it out here. Anyone who believes that MTV has ever rigged an elimination is just a delusional idiot. Goodbye, folks. It's been a great episode. I'm Joe.
I'm Brian.
See you next time.
Peace.